Last night, big game Dame, a.k.a. video game Dame. Yeah, Caron just jumped back in the seat because he's looking at the numbers. They're just ridiculous on the screen. You see the points, and then he has 7 straight games of scoring at least 30 or more. And by the way, in those last 5 games, Portland Trailblazers are 4-1, creeping on the come up, trying to get in that 8th spot and sneak into the playoffs. We've witnessed what Dame's been able to do. We saw him drop that 61 burger. We saw him drop 47, and then we see what he's doing last night against the Lakers. Number one, how impressed are we with what Dame is doing? And in a sense, it's been overshadowed, kind of.
It really has. And look, Sekou, we've been watching this ever since the summer. A lot of people question, was he bar for bar, a real lyricist? Could he rap? And then he went out there and won that battle.
Whoa, relax.
Then he came in to the season. Everybody was like, you know what? Can he repeat what he did in the playoffs? And now he's back at it again. Like, he's on a tear right now. You're talking about dropping triple doubles, his first one of his career. But he's doing whatever is necessary to get them over the hump. And that's why I got them making the playoffs. I mean, look at this demonstration he's putting on. I mean, nobody can guard him, and he's letting you know on national television. It was a huge moment right there. He possessed that Mamba mentality, man. He went out there and he's certified, man, blue check.
Yeah, he's shooting free throws from the logo. I mean, basically is what he's doing. And the worst part about it is you're taking a guy who's, to me, the poster child for being slept on. Just coming into the league. Nobody thought this guy was going to leave Weber State and make the league. Then he comes in, balls out, becomes an all-star, does all this stuff, and then you got the nerve to be mad at him because they get off to a rocky start. They got 10 bodies that they had last season that are not in the mix this year. 7 new faces, and then you lose guys to injury once the season starts. Rodney Hood, Zach Collins, you don't have those guys to use. So for Dame to get off the mat early in the year and to do what he's doing now, to me, he's not only vaulting them into the playoff discussion, he's put himself in an MVP discussion if he keeps this up.
Yeah.
He's changed the complexion of Portland's season. And I'm telling you, the worst thing for the rest of the league that I noticed watching this team lately, Trevor Ariza, Gary Trent Jr., Simons, Caleb Swanigan, they got some live bodies now to go around him. And you know what Melo's done since he joined that team. So you better be careful, because if Portland gets on one down the stretch of this season, that's going to be the last team you want to see in the playoffs in the Western Conference.
I really like the idea that, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Trevor Ariza reminds me so much of Al-Farouq Aminu. And I know that they lost some valuable pieces, guys that can knock down perimeter shots, but that was the piece I felt like they never identified from their loss, that subtraction from that ball club. Now you got a guy that can guard 1 through 4 and knock down shots. Trevor Ariza.
So is this hot streak sustainable? Obviously, the Jazz come in tonight. We know what they're able to do. They've kind of been struggling as of late. Is Dame going to drop another 50 burger tonight? Is that
He's
what
more
we need
than
to be?
capable.
I mean, do we see that happening?
But think about who plays the one position. Like when you look at Ingles, he's gonna play the one position, and it might be in a cross match or whatever the case may be. So now you have Dame coming at you full speed. Or are you going to put Donovan Mitchell on him, where you're going to preserve him on the offensive end of the floor, or are you going to put Mike Conley on him? I know that he's going to, dissect that. And in the pick and roll situation, he's crafty and clever enough to stretch you out. And what I mean by that, if you have Gobert and another individual guard him, whoever that individual may be, or Jordan Clarkson, whoever, he's crafty enough to attack that big or stretch you out and facilitate, and he's a willing passer.
Well, Utah Jazz, that scouting report is out there. Y'all might want to take a look at it. Over the last, let me check this, 5 games, 43s. So around that 3-point line, y'all might want to get up on them.
You know what Coach saying in the scouting report?
What's that?
Dame gonna get his. Y'all just play hard and then make it difficult for everybody else.
Oh, man. We're definitely not going to keep it difficult for you. Tonight on League Pass, you will see big game Dame. What can Donovan Mitchell do to recover after that poor game? Only played bad. He played really bad.
Special night for the Lakers at Staples Center honoring Kobe Bryant, but it was Damian Lillard who exhibited the Mamba mentality more than anybody else. 48 for Lillard in the Blazers' victory.
I'm just happy he was able to continue playing a good brand of basketball and get a win against a really good team. I think #1 team in the West right now on the road. I was really proud of that, but I don't think anybody feels like we walked away as a winner tonight. Given the circumstances, the memories that we'll take away from it was, just sad. And, it was just tough. So it was good that, we had to compete. So being on the winning side is a positive, but I don't think anybody walks away from, this moment in this situation a winner.
Through all that beautiful celebration before the game, what's your perspective of that, being out on the floor and seeing all of that?
I think it's tough, from an emotional standpoint, but he's worthy, more than worthy, and that type of love and that type of respect and that type of honor that was given to him, in the first game since it happened, it was only right. And, compared to what his family has to deal with, and, his closest friends have to deal with, us having to, honor him in that way and then play a game is a small thing. I think for what we do in our careers, this is what we do. And for him being arguably the toughest competitor to ever play the game, I felt like it was only right for us to pay our respect pregame and then go out there and honor him by competing, at a higher level. And I thought both teams did that.
What was it like for you to play in this game?
I tried my hardest to just, calm the emotional part about it down and just go out there and play. And I think for both teams it was a rough start to the game because it's hard to go from being in that type of mental state and watching and listening and then, jump into a game and, really care. So for me, I just, I tried to keep my emotions in check and just play the game, have fun and go out there and compete. And that was that.
What stood out to you about the pregame stuff, that, being out there and witnessing all that firsthand?
Lillard entered Friday with history on the line, 4 consecutive games with 35 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, tied for the longest streak by any player in NBA history, not named Oscar Robertson. And then on Friday, 48 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds, nearly a triple-double. He's the first player with 45 points and 10 assists at Staples Center since Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, 61, 47, 50, 36, and 48 for Damian Lillard. Is he the guy right now that you would say has got, if we're going to generalize and say Mamba mentality, is he the leader in the clubhouse?
Absolutely. He's putting the league on notice. And Portland dealt with some injuries early, and they struggled out of the gate, but they made it to the Western Conference Finals last year. And we talked so much about who are the top players in the game, and I keep hearing Anthony Davis being mentioned as a top 5 player, and the first thing that comes to my head is, when did he pass Dame Lillard? Because each year I've seen him lead his team to the playoffs and continue to progress. Anthony Davis left New Orleans to come to L.A. to hope to have that success.
Yeah.
Paul, you think?
Without a question. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
He's putting the team on his back who's struggling right now outside of the playoff race, but he's like, look, we want to make the playoffs. He's dealt with injuries, and this is what you need to do as a leader. This team was a top 2 or 3 team last year. They're struggling to make the playoff season. Now he's like, look, it's on me, guys. It's on me.
Yeah.
And he's showing Mamba mentality, and that's what you want to see out of your superstars.
Yeah, I saw somebody tweet he's shooting from 5-point range on some of those shots and knocking them in.
He didn't get the memo that it was the night for the Lakers as Damian Lillard leads Portland past LeBron James and the Lakers. We were waiting for LeBron James to come to the podium and speak right there. Plenty of media gathered. What a night. It was unforgettable whether you were inside the building or outside. SportsCenter from Los Angeles returns after the break.
Throughout February, the NBA celebrates Black History Month by honoring those who paved the way for future generations. That tradition continues through league-wide efforts to bring people together and take action in our communities. Share how you are honoring Black History Month with the hashtag BHM. And now it is time for a Trade Watch update presented by Robinhood, and everybody has been talking about the names that you see on the screen, and then we are keeping an eye on 2 other individuals. So Sekou, I'm going to start with you. You have the floor, my brother. So of course the Trade Watch, we're looking at the trade deadline, February 6th, 3 p.m. Eastern. Which one of these players is going to be on the move?
You know what? I think we have a potential for an absolute fire sale in Detroit. If we're not careful. They have multiple players who could be on the move. We've heard about Andre Drummond being, in the crosshairs for some teams, but Derrick Rose playing the way he's playing if you're a contender and you need a veteran guard, to come off your bench in direct traffic and be an offensive weapon, boy, looking fantastic, looking like young D Rose. I also think if you really look at the landscape out there, most of the trades that happen at the deadline, Caron, are ones we never hear about. So sometimes you got to take some of those names off of there, the ones you're hearing about and the rumors are floating around, and think about who's lurking out there that we haven't been talking about. And that's why, you saw Andre Iguodala's name up there. To me, that's a guy who's got to be on the minds of GMs making these phone calls just to find out what his status is in Memphis.
That's going to be interesting because
is he in the plans?
I've been seeing him more on television than I've been seeing him anywhere near a basketball team, but that's another conversation. Caron, what about you? I see you have some names as well.
Yeah, you know what? I had D Rose, I had Kevin Love, and also Tristan Thompson. And I think that when you looking at the landscape of the game and what do each individual team on that short list that have a realistic shot at winning in the foreseeable future? And what I mean by that is 1 to 3 years. You look at the Lakers, they still lack another playmaker, a guy that LeBron trusts, that has complete confidence in, that can go ahead and go out and get his own and then facilitate for others. So Derrick Rose comes to mind. Darren Collison comes to mind. Jamal Crawford, will somebody pick him up at some point? And other individuals, I think Kevin Love, he might not land on a contender with a team in contention, but someone like Tristan Thompson, I think that he's a valuable asset out there. And I think exactly about what the Boston Celtics are missing from having a paint defender, a guy that can be an enforcer. They miss Baines a ton. And I think that just what he brings to the table with the physicality and what he brings, battle-tested, champion, he fits in, he plugs, he knows his role, he identifies it extremely well. He can be an asset to a team.
So this is totally not in the rundown, but I just think about this before we get out of this segment. Chris Paul obviously was the talk of a lot of trade chatter at the beginning of the season. Now we see that the Thunder are in the thick of the playoffs. Yes or no, do you think he's still on the block or does he stay?
I don't think he get traded because listening to Sam Presti and other individuals, the rumblings that I'm getting is that Sam Presti says, you give us a reason to come to work. And he embodies everything good about OKC. So I don't think Chris Paul will be moved. And he's not taking a pay cut.
Yeah, I don't see him taking a pay cut at all. Obviously, making an all-star team, I'm sure there's some teams that would love to have him. But if you're Oklahoma City and you rebuilding, and this is how you're doing it, that's, Chris Paul should stay put, continue to mentor Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, some of those young guys, and you get everything you can out of he and Dennis Schroeder and Gilgeous-Alexander. You let those young guys feed off him, and you get to the postseason and shock everybody by doing so.
I think this is the best job he's done from a leadership standpoint. I played on the live teams.
You're talking about Chris Paul.
Yeah. This is the best job I've seen him do. Traditionally, guys come in this space, veteran guys, a little long in the tooth. You're like, you know what? They're going to exercise the right to find a new location. Chris Paul stayed there. He evaluated the situation. He said, you know what? I'm going to win with this group, and that's exactly what he's doing.
You got to tip your cap to Sam Presti and Chris Paul as well because they're basically at the same pace they were in the previous 2 seasons, sitting right there in the thick of the playoffs, and they lost an MVP and another all-NBA player. So kudos to Chris Paul and company there in OKC, getting it done. This is called a bump. The trade deadline is coming to you, the special, right here on NBA TV Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Somebody moving.
Hey, somebody got to go. We ain't going nowhere.